Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 14th Haslett Board of Education meeting. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We will start off by talking to our superintendent for his report this evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I've got a few updates and celebrations to share tonight. First, our kindergarten roundup registration officially opened on March 1st, and we're looking forward to welcoming all our new Vikings to the district. Roundup events are scheduled for April 24th, 25th, and 28th at Wilkshire Early Childhood Center. There'll also be parent meeting on Tuesday, April 22nd at 6:30 p.m. at Haslett High School. We're excited to meet the class of 2038. Jesus. I don't know how that number feels to all of you.
Did I say that in the mic?
Yep.
Jeez.
You did, yeah. We all did. So I also want to take a moment to acknowledge Andrea Santini, a social studies teacher at Haslett Middle School, who submitted a resignation effective April 4th. Andrea has served our district for the past 3 years, and we're grateful for her contributions during the time. We wish her the best on her next chapter. We also have 2 retirements to recognize this evening. First, and he's here tonight if you all want to give him a hard time, Jeff Casson, our Director of Technology, will be retiring on June 30th after 24 years of service. Jeff's work has touched every building, every staff member, and every student in one way or another. We sincerely thank him for his unwavering dedication to the district. Thank you, Jeff. And obviously wish him very happy retirement. Second, Nicole Hart, English teacher at Haslett High School, has also announced her retirement effective June 30th. Nicole's been with us for 6 years and has made a lasting impact on our students, and we wish her all the best in this exciting new chapter. Fourth, I'm pleased to recommend tonight Adam Fisher as our new district athletic director effective June 2025. Adam's been a part of the Haslett family for 22 years, serving as special education and physical education teacher, coach, and a driving force behind the unified PE programs and collaborations with Special Olympics. We're fortunate to have someone with such deep roots and a passion for student development stepping into this role. Earlier this evening, obviously, we just left our third work session focused on our strategic planning process, which we're calling Imagine 2030. We reviewed data from our most recent task force meetings and made meaningful progress in shaping our future direction as a district. I want to thank you all for your thoughtful engagement in this activity as we continue this important work. Six, I want to officially welcome Scott Kemmer-Slater, who's joining us at the table here tonight. So we're glad to have you here with us. And finally, a huge congratulations to Wilkshire Early Childhood Center, which has officially earned green school status. So we now have a few green schools in the district. Wilkshire is the newest to join the ranks. This recognition is thanks to their commitment to reducing environmental impact, improving health and wellness, and incorporating green practices into daily learning. Wilkshire now joins Murphy and Haslett Middle School as certified green schools. Well done to Wilkshire team. We're proud of the efforts and leadership and sustainability. And that concludes my announcements for this evening. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. Are you sure you don't have any more? There you go. Okay. Any questions for the superintendent this evening? Seeing none, we will move on to discussion items. Our first discussion item is a out-of-state travel request. I think we have, who do we have here? Doctor, this is a travel request for Kid Wind competition in Phoenix, Arizona. So we're looking forward to hearing from our students about this.
Hello, everyone. We are the Haslett Kid Win team from the high school. Both me and Samantha are seniors at the high school, and we will be hopefully competing in Arizona at the Kid Win World Competition.
So KidWin is a global organization who aims to bring young people into the sustainable energy field through a variety of challenges involving wind and solar competitions where we...
Closer to the mic, please, if you could.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
okay. Thanks. Sorry. Thank you.
Do you want me to start over?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Okay. So where in the different wind and solar competitions, you build different devices. We are in the wind category of this, so we've been building different wind turbine models. And at the competitions, you are judged by experts in the field and given scores based on the efficiency, innovation, and research present over the period of time we've conducted this.
So why is our team going to World Kidwin important? Not only is it an amazing opportunity to show all of the hard work that we've done over the year in our independent study, this will benefit Haslett in a lot of ways. We are not only representing Haslett, we're also representing the entire state. We are the leaders in the Kidwin competition. So us going to Worlds will show not only Michigan, but the world that Haslett is forward in sustainable energy. So our work so far, we've designed a wind turbine that won at the state Kidwin competition, and we've started fundraising to go to the world competition. We secured a sponsorship from Apex Clean Energy, and we are working to fund the rest of the money that we need to travel to Phoenix. We are also, at the same time, working on more turbines and more designs to compete at World Kidwind.
So for this world competition is located in Phoenix, Arizona, and takes place May 18th through 21st of 2025.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Do we have questions or comments from members of the board?
So if we say yes, can I go with you?
You'd have to pay for your own.
Well
answer,
said.
yes.
So you're both seniors.
Yeah.
What are your plans outside of Kidwin beyond high school?
So I'm going to be going to MSU this fall. I will be a political science and pre-law major, and I'm hoping to pursue a law degree after that.
I will be attending the University of Michigan, looking to double major in chemistry and biomolecular sciences, with joining their collegiate level wind energy team.
Wow. And are you guys going to get along on the plane then? We got a Spartan and a Wolverine. That's wonderful. Well, I think I speak for everyone. We're very proud of you because I understand, wasn't it kind of whimsical that you entered? Like, hey, this sounds cool. Let's go do this.
So our independent study this year is just sustainable energy as a whole. And so our original plan was that we were going to go to this Kidwin competition as part of our sustainable energy class. We weren't necessarily sure if we were going to win or not, but then we put in all of this work, and we won. So now we're really excited to go to Worlds.
Amazing. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So I just want to echo the congratulations. And Dr. Peterson, I don't know if you want to say anything. I assume the independent study is with you and...
Yeah, these guys have done an amazing job of just like putting in the effort, doing all the research, and an independent study really is on their backs. All I do is kind of provide the framework of these are the things they need to do. And I actually told them when they asked about doing an independent study with me, I said you can as long as you compete in Kidwind.
Nice,
So
nice.
Awesome.
Well, congratulations. And I know the week that you guys will be gone is also your last week as seniors, right? So I know you're going to miss some activities, but I assume you're more excited about this than...
This is an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I have two questions. Okay. This is right up my work line. So when you started this independent study, did you know anything about wind turbines, or did you have what did you know about wind turbines?
I mean, we'd seen them around, of course.
Okay.
There are multiple in this area, but I'd say my knowledge is very limited. There's definitely a very large range of different models, and there's a lot of science that goes into the making of these.
So you're participating in research, and whether you're a chemistry or a pre-law student, I can tell you, all students in college can engage in research. And something that I've learned is it's what you learn along the way that helps with this experience. So what I'd love to hear from each of you is what's something you've learned about whether it's wind turbines or just green energy from this project? Just something that you've learned or something that surprised you along the way.
So I've been working with a lot of 3D modeling to start 3D printing blade models, and 3D modeling is a lot harder than I thought it was. And I see some of these videos sometimes of people creating these different shapes and amazing like backgrounds, like in Blender especially, and I think, wow, this is incredible, and I tried to use it. I was like, this looks great, this looks like it'll be fun. It is very hard, and I hold a large amount of respect for people who do that, and also all of the people doing research into this, because we've been looking into like NACA airfoils, and wow, like it is very complex, it is very intricate, and this is a growing field, and it's really just amazing to look at all these resources and of people doing research while we're participating in it.
I think for me, what I learned was that there's a lot of solutions out there that I didn't even think about. When we went to Western Michigan University to compete, their collegiate wind team showed us a turbine that they were making that was shaped like a cone. And I had never even thought of that before. I had never thought outside of obviously we see wind turbines all around, but there are so many people all across everywhere that are making all sorts of new solutions to old problems that we've had.
That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing and congratulations.
Congratulations.
Any other questions, comments from the board? I just echo my fellow members and say we're really proud of you. Thank you. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
So, and for everybody's just edification, typically when we get an out-of-state travel request, we hear the presentation and then take up the vote in a following meeting. But tonight we're going to do it at this meeting in order to allow the team to fundraise in order to get out to Arizona. So we felt as a board that it was important to give them the extra 2 weeks to be able to fundraise. So we will, for this, go outside of our little box. So again, we're proud of you and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Vice President Collins, as it has been for the last couple of months, we turn it over to you for the second reading of the proposed new and revised board policies for the 4,000 section or series.
Oh, you're going to get the 5,000s too.
And yes, well, that's
But
later
we'll
on.
We'll start with the 4,000.
We'll sandwich
second reading,
Jeff
yes.
Casson in between your
Yes,
policy reports.
that'll give me a chance to breathe, so thank you. Okay. This is the second reading of the 4,000 series of Troon policies. We're switching our policies from Neola to Troon, in case you haven't noticed. If these policies are adopted, they will take effect on August 1st, 2025. Some of the 4,000 series have already been adopted by the board, but we're adopting them again so that the numbering is consistent. Most of this just took place in January 2024. This series covers district employment, and a lot of it is required by state and federal law. We also have a master agreement with our collective bargaining groups, and that can be found on the Haslett Public Schools website. Policy 4101 is our non-discrimination policy. Policy 4102 is about anti-harassment. Policy 4103 is about the protection of whistleblowers. Policy 4104 is about employment complaint procedures for allegations implicating civil rights. Policy 4105 discusses disability workplace accommodations for employees and applicants. Policy 4105A covers pregnancy workplace accommodations for employees and applicants. Policy 4105B discusses religious workplace accommodations for employees and applicants. Policy 4106 is about the Family and Medical Leave Act. Policy 4107 covers military leave for employees. Policy 4108 was adopted in January 2024. Policy 4109 is about break time for nursing mothers. Policy 4110 is about reimbursement for expenses. Policy 4111 is about professional development and how it will be offered and logged. Policy 4112 is about extracurricular employees and volunteers. Policy 4201 is about employee ethics and standards. Policy 4202 is about mandated reporting to CPS and APS. Policy 4203 is about corporal punishment and the limited use of reasonable force. Policy 4204 is about the confidentiality of student information. Policy 4205 is about hiring and background checks. Policy 4206 is about employment contracts. Policy 4207 was adopted in January 2024. Policy 4208 is about what happens if an employee is arrested, charged, or convicted of a crime. Policy 4209 says that employees cannot provide abortion referrals or assistance. Policy 4210 prohibits the use of drugs, alcohol, and tobacco products. Policy 4211 is about testing our transportation employees for alcohol and controlled substances. Policy 4212 describes how the district may require an employee to receive assistance if they have substance abuse problems. Policy 4213 is the anti-nepotism policy. Policy 4214 is about an employee's outside activities and employment. Policy 4215 covers district technology and acceptable use policy. Policy 4216 is about employees' personal communication devices. Policy 4217 covers social media use by employees and the ethics around that use. Policy 4218 discusses employee dress and appearance. Policy 4219 is about employee attendance. Policy 4220 is about employee use or disposal of district property. Policy 4221 is about an employee's speech, especially as role models. Policy 4222 says that unauthorized work stoppage and strikes are not allowed. Policy 4223 is about resignations of employees and the procedures for that. Policy 4224 is about personnel files and payroll information. Policy 4225 discusses an employee's ability to temporarily do remote work. Policy 4226 is intentionally left blank for Troon for the numbering system. Policy 4227 is intentionally left blank. It does not apply to us. Policy 4228 says that employees have no expectation of privacy in connection with their use of district property and equipment. Policy 4229 is about the acceptable use of generative artificial intelligence. Policy 43101, is the definition of non-exempt staff. Policy 4302 covers employee pay, including minimum wage and overtime for non-exempt or hourly staff. Policy 4303 is intentionally left blank. Policy 4304 is about employee timekeeping responsibilities for non-exempt staff. Policy 4305 is intentionally left blank because there was a change in the law. Policy 4306 covers assignment and transfer. Policy 4307 is about performance evaluation. Policy 4308 is about reduction and recall of non-exempt staff. Policy 4309 is about discipline and termination. Policy 4401 is the definition of professional staff. Policy 4402 is about the placement of professional staff and is consistent with Policy 1101. Policy 4403 is about performance evaluation and tenured teachers. Policy 4404 covers performance-based compensation. Policy 4405 is about reduction in force and recall. Policy 4406 allows for professional improvement sabbaticals. Policy 4407 is about discipline for professional staff. Policy 4408 covers termination of professional staff and the procedures we must follow. Policy 4409 is about non-renewal of professional staff. Policy 4501 is the definition of an administrator or supervisor. Policy 4502 is about the assignment and transfer of administrators. Policy 4503 is about the performance evaluations for administrators. Policy 4504 is about performance-based or merit pay for administrators. Policy 4505 covers reduction and recall of administrators. Policy 4506 covers discipline of administrators. Policy 4507 is about termination of administrators and supervisors and the procedures for that. Policy 4508 is about non-renewal and the procedures for non-renewal of administrators. Policy 4601 is about the superintendent specifically. Policy 4602 describes how we hire a new superintendent. Policy 4603 outlines the procedures for the superintendent's performance evaluation. Policy 4604 explains what happens if the superintendent is absent or incapacitated. Policy 4605 discusses the guidelines for accepting gifts and donations. Policy 4606 covers discipline and termination of the superintendent. And Policy 4607 is about the non-renewal process for the superintendent.
Thank you, Vice President Collins. Does any member have a question or comment?
I think you missed 4113. I'm sorry, if you could just read that one. It's Michigan earned sick time.
Yep, start over.
4113, let me see yours first. sorry.
I also had it as a miss.
Okay, sorry. Oh. Oh, 4113, the Michigan Earned Sick Time Act, ESTA, it's called. That was in the first reading, and now has officially been read in the second. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member have any questions or comments on the 4000 series? If not, we will move on to our next presentation is we hear annually from Mr. Casson about the purchase of Chromebooks for the coming year. Mr. Casson.
Thank you, and good evening. I do appreciate the opportunity to make a purchase recommendation for you tonight. Tonight, I'm recommending the purchase of 650 Chromebooks, Hewlett-Packard Chromebooks, 14-inch Chromebooks. And these are to replace Chromebooks that we currently use in our classrooms that are 5 years old. So this is part of our annual equipment replacement plan. We replace our equipment every 5 years. The Chromebooks that I'm recommending we purchase are part of the REMC Cooperative Purchasing Program, and this does satisfy the board's bidding requirements in the board policy. The Chromebook cost is $296 per Chromebook. We do have to get a management license for each Chromebook at $29.80, so that brings the total to $325.80 per device. The cost for 650 Chromebooks then would be $211,770, and this would be allocated to the sinking fund budget. I'm making this request tonight and asking you to take action on this item at your next board meeting on April 28th. So fairly standard what I do on a regular basis this time of the year, just coming forward with this recommendation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about this.
Hi, I just
Hello.
have one question. So there you mentioned 650 Chromebooks. Do you know where or which building we're targeting or buildings?
Yes, so we are taking the Chromebooks that are 5 years old. In this case, most of them will go to the high school. There will be some that go to the middle school and Murphy, but probably about 90% of these will go to the high school. And it will replace those carts of about 30 computers or 30 laptops that we have in carts in each of our classrooms.
Mr. Casson, if we approve this on April 28th, do you know when we'll receive the Chromebooks, and what's the timetable for getting them ready for use?
Yeah, so we would make the purchase shortly thereafter to take delivery towards middle to end of June. These will be used for next school year, of course, and so we will configure them, set them up over the summer so that they are in place for the first day of school.
Mr. Casson, could you talk just, I mean, we've heard it before, but just for folks who may not have, talk about the REMC purchasing program and talk about the type of savings we receive for these Chromebooks being a part of that program.
Yeah, so the REMC Association of Michigan, they offer products, technology products, school supply products, a number of different products to school districts. And what they do is they go out and they bid these items out to various companies. And so they list specifications for each of the products. They get the bids in, and then they go with the lowest bidder in most cases, or the bidder that meets all the qualifications or requirements. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I can't tell you the exact percentage savings, but oftentimes it's in the 40 to 50% savings off of like retail costs of Chromebooks. This year it was quite difficult because of the tariffs. And so it was hard to nail down an exact price because of that. Because obviously if there's a tariff, then the vendor would have to pass it on to the districts. But in this case, this price is locked in, assuming that it's approved and we make the purchase at the end of April.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mr. Casson. Any other questions, comments? I mean, he's retiring. We should give him a few more questions. I mean,
I think perfect. You guys.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Casson.
so much. I
As
appreciate
always, really appreciate it, and thank you for your service to the district.
You're welcome. I appreciate the support of the board, and the boards before you have always been very supportive of technology, and it's not like that in every district, and because of that, I think we've had a very successful technology program. So thank you.
I agree. Thank you, Mr. Casson. All right, back to Vice President Collins. We have the first reading of proposed new and revised board policies for the 5000 series. So you need a minute to
Nope, I'm
have a
good.
sip of your
Thank you for the
water?
break.
Feel free.
This is the longest of the series, so just so you know, this is the first reading of the 5,000 series, and I would like to just take a moment and thank the Policy and Personnel Committee, Trustee Clark and Trustee Fritz. It's been a lot of work and a lot of long meetings and going through things, and all the board members for reviewing everything. So as we near the end of this process, I would like to thank both of my fellow committee members.
You're welcome.
These policies cover students, curriculum, and academic matters. If adopted, the policies will go into effect with the other ones in August of 2025. Many of these policies are represented in our student handbooks as well, and we will be updating those, that's next, as we go forward. But and the 5100s cover student rights, and this is where I get a little excited because I taught civics. So a lot of these are from very famous court cases. So if you know them, you know them. 5101 is about student expression. We did take the optional language that does not allow students to wear swastikas or Confederate symbols. 5102 is about student lockers, and there is no expectation of privacy. 5103 is about search and seizure. We can search a student and their belongings. We may use detection dogs, and we can search lockers. There is a reasonable cause in there for certain things, but 5104 covers the age of majority and is recommended because of current practice. And please stop me if you have any questions. Policy 5105 is about collaboration with outside entities for services. Policy 5106 is intentionally left blank. Policy 5200 is about student conduct and discipline. This is specifically about investigations, arrests, and other law enforcement contact.
Policy 5201.
5201. I missed one, sorry.
Nope.
Perfect.
Did I say it wrong?
Nope, you got it.
Oh, okay, I got it. Sorry, I had it numbered wrong on mine. 5201, thank you. 5202 is about unlawful discrimination, harassment, and retaliation against students and our process about that. 5203 is about hazing, and it is not allowed. Policy 5204 is about student appearance and dress code. Those are also in the student handbook. 5205 is about our student handbooks. 5206 is about student discipline and covers student code of conduct, suspensions, and expulsions. It discusses mandatory expulsion and all the different situations that would result in disciplinary action. Policy 5206A is about a student's due process rights. 5206B is about student discipline for students with disabilities. 5206C covers reinstatement procedures after an expulsion. 5206D is about enrollment of students following misconduct at other public and non-public schools. This gives us the right to deny enrollment. 5206E is about suspension from class, subject, or activity by a teacher. Policy 5207 is our anti-bullying policy. It is required by law to do a public meeting, which we are doing right now, about this policy. And this policy will also be submitted to the Michigan Department of Education in accordance with the law. The policy covers prohibited conduct, reporting incidents, investigations, notices to parents, guardians, annual reports, and responsible school officials. We did not take the optional language. 5208 is about student acceptable use and internet safety policy. 5209 is about student use of cell phones and other electronic devices. We do allow student use of cell phones for educational purposes. 5210 is about GPS tracking devices and audio. We have already adopted this one just recently, but we're doing it again so that the numbering is correct. 5211 is about emergency use of seclusion and restraint. This follows the law about seclusion and restraint. 5212 is a policy on students who are on the registered sex offenders list and the establishment of a safety plan. 5213 covers personal protection orders at school and how it must be reported and enforced. 5301 covers student enrollment, attendance, and records. This one is about compulsory attendance, absenteeism, and truancy. 5302 is about enrollment in kindergarten. The child must be 5 by December 1st, but there is a procedure after September 1st. 5303 is about student enrollment and withdrawal from the district. 5304 covers non-public school students and part-time students, which includes homeschooled students. Non-public part-time students may not participate in district-provided athletics or extracurricular activities. 5305 is about schools of choice. We're looking at that resolution tonight, as a matter of fact, and must be filed each year. 5306 covers foreign exchange students. 5307 is about homeless students and our policy and homeless student liaisons. 5308 is about the protection of pupil rights, specifically regarding surveys and evaluations and a student's personal information. 5309 is about student records and directory information and the guidelines for keeping records and reviewing records. 5401 is about curriculum, instruction, and parent involvement. This one is about parent involvement in education and our expectations and policies surrounding that. 5402 is about communication with parents and how the district will keep parents aware of their child's progress. 5403 discusses the rights of non-custodial parents. 5404 says the district will provide free textbooks, materials, and covers the circumstances where fees will be assessed. 5405 is about Title I and parent engagement. We do have Title I in our district, and we follow the process for engaging parents in the program. 5406 is about Title I funding to supplement state and local funds. 5407 says that the board will provide instructional hours and curriculum to students. 5408 is intentionally left blank. 5409 covers academic credits and graduation requirements. 5410 is about our graduation commencements and participation in that ceremony. Students who have completed all requirements or who have received a certificate of completion participate. 5411 is about student promotion, retention, and placement. 5412 is about class rank. We don't put class rank on report cards anymore or transcripts. I don't know how many people had a class rank. I still remember mine. But we do have top 10%, so we do have a policy for this, just to let you know that, even though it's not really a rank. 5413 covers senior recognition. We have a senior honors program. We don't have a valedictorian. Our student speakers are voted on by the student body. 5414 discusses completion certificates. A student needs 22 credits. 5415 says that we may offer summer school. 5416 describes how we support students who are homebound or hospitalized. 5417 explains that the district does allow homework for students and it can count towards the student's grade. 5418 says that students will receive grades. 5419 says that students will receive reading instruction and we will follow state laws about K-3 reading. 5420 is about sex education and reproductive health. It lays out that we do have it. We have an advisory board that meets and we have age-appropriate, medically accurate instruction in sex education. It also complies with state law. 5421 allows the district to offer work-based learning. 5501 starts the section on school-sponsored and extracurricular activities. This one says that we can do fundraising. 5502 allows the schools to have student government. 5503 is about bulletin boards and other student postings and what is allowed in the schools. 5504 covers school-sponsored student publications and productions. 5505 says that students need to be in school for a half day to be able to do any extracurricular activities that day. 5506 allows for field trips. 5507 is about extracurricular activities. 5508 is about extracurricular and athletic trips and is about transportation for these activities. 5509 is about the public appearance of school groups. This says that student groups may not perform at a political rally or event or at religious ceremonies. However, they can perform at other public events. 5510, students may initiate non-curricular clubs with approval from the principal and an advisor. 5511 says that secret organizations are prohibited. 5601 is about special education and says that students with IEPs are entitled to a free, appropriate public education. 5602 discusses independent education evaluations that are conducted by people outside of the district. We recommended 10 working days to respond to a request and the procedures to follow for that. 5603 is about Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act and states that a student with a disability will not be discriminated against and that we will follow federal law. 5604 allows the district to use general education student assistant teams to create strategies to meet the needs of students who are struggling academically or behaviorally. 5701 describes our policies about abuse and neglect. It lays out the laws about mandated reporting to CPS and that one of our priorities is to protect student health and safety. 5702 describes the process for parents to report student illnesses and absences and what happens if a student falls ill at school. 5703 is our policy on medications at school. This covers student-administered medication, district-administered medications, EpiPens, etc. 5704 says that we do not have insurance on the kids. The parents have insurance on their children. 5705 covers anaphylaxis and training for EpiPen use. 5706 is intentionally left blank. 5707 is our school wellness policy. This is nutrition, physical education, our meal program. In Haslett, no child is denied lunch. If they do not have money in their account, the child will receive lunch and the account will be charged. 5708 is about do not resuscitate orders and that those will be honored. 5709 is our policy about lice, nits, and bed bugs. Students with nits may remain at school until the end of the school day and will be readmitted to school with treatment, but most parents do come and pick their children up. With a bed bug infestation, the student is excluded from school until the parents show evidence of successful treatment. 5710, student suicide prevention policy and procedures. 5711 says that little ones must be toilet trained before their first day of school. 5712 is about concussion awareness and proper training for coaches and athletes about concussions. 5713 is about immunizations and communicable diseases. Parents must provide proof before the first day of school. It also lists the process for exemptions. It's only if it is detrimental to the student's health or for religious conscientious objections. Can't talk. 5714 is our policy on threat assessment. We do have threat assessment protocols, and Mr. Hamilton is going to be taking the lead on that. 5715 is about student oral health assessments and the process and forms for that. 5801 says that we have a closed campus, no leaving for lunch. 5802 says that we will have transportation for our students. 5803 says that students may drive themselves to school, but they have to follow the rules, and they can have that privilege revoked. 5804 says that the school will issue students a work permit. 5805 is about student audio and video recordings. Students are not permitted to record. There are some exceptions, mostly for students with disabilities or if it's for educational purposes. 5806 describe the procedures for recording district meetings. Parents of students with disabilities are permitted to audio record IEP meetings and Section 504 meetings if the parent provides notice before the meeting. 5807 says that students will have the opportunity to say the Pledge of Allegiance. It's also state law. We give them time to say it. We cannot make them say it. So, and 5808 is intentionally left blank. Did I miss any?
Any questions or comments for Vice President Collins? All right, great job. We will now move on to board reports, and the first board report is from the Policy and Personnel Committee. I am told that Trustee Fritz will be giving the board report for this evening.
Yes, President Byrd, I will be giving the board report because Trustee Collins is apparently lazy and doesn't want to do it. I'm kidding. You're amazing. We couldn't get through this without you, my friend. So the minutes from our last Policy and Personnel Committee meeting, the members present were Trustee Clark, Trustee Collins, and myself. The staff present were Superintendent Malley, Associate Superintendent Lindbergh, and Scott.
Scott was there.
Sorry. And Scott Kemmerslater. Guests? None. So here we go. Bullet 1, out-of-state field trip request. Brandy Butcher, high school principal, shared with us about an upcoming out-of-state opportunity in Phoenix, Arizona. Students at the Haslett High School have qualified for the World Kid Win Challenge from May 18th to the 21st of 2025. This request will be on the consent agenda at the April 14th, 2025 Board of Education meeting, which is today. Bullet 2, Throon Policy Review. Chairperson Collins reviewed the Throon Policies Series 5000s with committee members. Policies were reviewed in detail and optional language was discussed. These policies will be shared with the Board of Education for a first reading on Monday, April 14th, 2025, also tonight. Next, Athletic Director Search Progress and Impact. Superintendent Malley shared information regarding the recommendation of Adam Fisher as the District Athletic Director beginning in June of 2025. We had a very healthy conversation, and I just want to say that I appreciate my fellow committee members and Superintendent Malley for hearing me and valuing my input on that particular topic. I thank you. I thank all of you for that. So, Schools of Choice resolution. Haslett Public Schools participates in the State of Michigan Schools of Choice program as outlined in Section 105 and 105C. This allows for non-resident students to be enrolled without having to obtain approval from their district of residence. Superintendent Malley shared the resolution that will be on the consent agenda at the Board of Education meeting tonight, April 14th, 2025. Director of Community Engagement, Superintendent Malley reviewed changes to this position. Director of Technology and Innovation, Superintendent Malley reviewed the proposed description for the upcoming posting of the Director of Technology and Innovation position. We also talked about staffing reductions, which were reviewed with committee members. And then amendments to employment contracts. Superintendent Malley reviewed the administrator and supervisor contracts that will be on the consent agenda tonight at this Board of Education meeting. And then the meeting ended at 5:40 p.m. and the minutes were recorded by Diane Lindbergh. Thank you for doing that. And that is it, President Byrd.
Thank you, Trustee Fritz. Any questions, comments? All right, we will move on to our treasurer with the Finance and Facilities Board report.
Thank you, President Byrd. The Finance and Facilities Committee meeting met on April 10th, and our agenda was almost identical to the Policy and Personnel Committee. We reviewed the out-of-state field trip request, we discussed the Schools of Choice resolution, and then we had 5 items related to staffing, the changes to the Director of Community Engagement. We discussed staffing reductions, amendments to supervisor and administrator contracts, the athletic director search progress, and then changes to the director of technology and innovation.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Treasurer Wozinski? Seeing none, we will move on to Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion report.
We have no update at this time. The group has not met.
All right, thank you. And now, items from board members. Does any board member have anything for the good of the whole? Please.
No, me again. I just have something I'd like to read, if that's all right. I want to start out by thanking Mr. Malley for the information he shared with us and his leadership that he's shown during these unnecessarily confusing and chaotic times in education. As we all know, the last few months have left a lot of uncertainty when it comes to local school districts' control over their own policies and curriculum. In Haslett, we always follow the legal advice of our attorneys, and we look to the Michigan Department of Education for guidance. Right now, there are questions and lawsuits about DEI and public funding for schools, and we will continue to watch those court cases play out and go from there. I do want to read a little bit from a letter that we received from Dr. Michael Rice, the state superintendent of schools. He states that, quote, many of the activities that fall under the broad banner of diversity, equity, and inclusion are not zero-sum. In these positive-sum activities, there are no preferences per se, and by extension, no losers, no illegal discrimination, and no Title VI violations associated therewith. Examples of these positive-sum activities include, but are not limited to, the availability and reading of diverse literature, teaching of a more comprehensive and inclusive history, language accessibility beyond English for those who don't read or speak English, grow your own programs for students and support staff in all communities to become teachers, and a range of student voices and leadership roles within schools, districts, and communities. A larger literary canon, teaching the fullness of history, language that permits all to access services and not just some, programs to encourage all to consider teaching rather than a narrow swath of the population, and breadth of student voice are all enriching activities, and not activities in which some win and others lose. Indeed, in certain instances, activities under the banner of diversity, equity, and inclusion are federally mandated. For example, the education of students with disabilities in the least restrictive environment based on student individualized education plans, IEPs, is required according to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Students with disabilities must be included in general education settings to the extent appropriate in student IEPs. This is a federal mandate. Pre-K through 12 programs that promote diversity, representing all children, regardless of race, and inclusion of all children, regardless of race, do not inherently harm particular groups of children and are not de facto violations of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. End quote. Our equity plan is regularly brought up to me in the community, and it is seen as a positive part of our district. The parents who actually have children in this district are very supportive. I ask the question, how can you not be supportive of including students with disabilities, or building playgrounds where all children can play together, or celebrating our diverse student population, of translating our district information into the languages of our students and families, of recruiting and retaining the best teachers out there? How can you not be in favor of protecting our students from incidents of bias or racism? How can you be against the idea that all are welcome here? I represent the parents and students of Haslett Public Schools, and I support our dedication to the inclusion and education of all students. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Collins. Any other members?
I should have spoken before she did. I don't want to follow that. So I just wanted to congratulate a whole lot of our high school students that participated this last weekend in our state solo and ensemble choir solo and ensemble last Friday and Saturday down at Jackson Northwest. I believe we had, I heard we have 2 students that had a perfect score, but I know our ensembles and our students all did very well. And thank you as always to Mr. Callahan and Mrs. Valla for their support of our students, as well as the accompanists and everybody who is down there. And I also want to thank, we have so many local businesses that have just been really supportive. They're always supportive, but there have been a couple things. One, the choir boosters are doing their annual fundraiser, their silent auction, but also, and I don't know, for those who don't get the high school newsletter, if you've seen on the app or on the website, but the high school is undergoing an effort to try to get a new mascot costume. It's time to get something new. And so they're working on that, and I know that we have a local business just about 5-minute walk from here who is being supportive and helping to do some of that fundraising. But I also want to point out that they're looking to get 2 different mascot costumes, which I think is really exciting, in 2 different sizes. So now it doesn't have to be somebody who is 6'3", who is filling that costume, but it gives a chance for students of different heights. Mrs. Butcher said she could even fit into one of them. So I'm really excited for this opportunity for a broader group of students to be able to be part of that tradition and to celebrate across our schools and serving in the mascot in that way. So anyway, I just want to point out a couple things that are, it's just exciting to see the local businesses be in support of our schools and what they're doing.
Thank you very much. Any other members? Yeah.
I just wanted to say something about the Imagine 2030 project, and that we're doing a lot of hard work on that, and thank you for everybody contributing. And I urge people in the community listening to this, if there is some concerns, to please bring them forth so that we can consider them and add those concerns into the plan. That would really be appreciated.
Thank you very much. Any other member have anything? All right, we will move on to correspondence and comments from the public. Do we have any correspondence to report this evening?
So we did receive in the mail a letter from Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity regarding an upcoming event, and I can share that letter with any members who are interested. We also, as board members, received an update from our MASB regional representative, just summarizing recent activity going on with MASB, and especially touching on some of what's been going on at the federal and state level. So if you did not see that, I think it was right around spring break. Can't remember on which side of spring break. Make sure you take a look for that.
Thank you. I think that that update was a very good
Yes.
one, too. So
Yep.
if you haven't taken
came
a look
April
at it,
9th.
members. Yeah, if you haven't taken a look at it, members, it's, if you have some spare time, I would recommend it, so. All right, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to comments from the public. We do have a 5-minute time limit. It's not meant for a back and forth, but if there are comments, concerns, questions brought up within the public comment, either the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, or myself will respond in correspondence. So do we have any members of the public here this evening that wish to make comments? Please. And before your comments, if you could just state your name, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Saltia Bassett, mom to Rose and Gabriel Bassett. This is very nerve-wracking for me, but it's a very important words I need to share. So, dear Haslett Public School Board staff and Haslett community, my first visit to Michigan to determine where to establish permanent residence, I remember the warm welcome by strangers. After 2 years, we chose Haslett as the city to raise our children. Clearly, we knew we would be one of the few black families attending Haslett Public Schools. Considering the warm welcome, as we felt at the beginning, we didn't have any concerns. Fast forward to now. After reading a Haslett happening stated on April 9th, sorry, I'm trying to be strong, on 2025, and as the Imagine 2030 continues, today I'm here to publicly address my concerns. The focus mentioned in the recent Haslett happenings, and this is quote, retaining and supporting our exceptional staff stood out to me. A hurt student would read that and wonder, what about retaining and supporting me too? Further into the email, another eye-catching statement was made. I will not repeat that particular statement to save time, but the statement is why I felt it is now extremely necessary for me to speak publicly about possible blind spots. The statement that stood out to me the most is, and this is quote, after all, the success of our students is directly connected to the stability, well-being, and strength of the adults who serve them every day. Directly being the key word. I must say, I cried after reading that statement. It was there, I knew sharing my concerns publicly is necessary. Students and parents are invited and encouraged to speak and share concerns. We have. But at what cost? It's one thing for parents to email our concerns, followed by not receiving an email response from some recipients, and then to immediately experience a relational shift in some of the individuals whom we've shared our concerns. But when our children experience the same outcome, how can a statement such as, quote, the success of our students is directly connected to the stability, well-being, and strength of the adults who serve them daily be declared as true, when there are students who are enduring trauma as a result of some adults directly linked to them, indirectly forcing them into survival mode with learning? Although teachers deserve public recognition of their hard work, we cannot choose to not also apply the same emphasis on how the community has failed some students. We should not applaud ourselves by associating words like directly to our success, but not to our failures also. To experience retention, perhaps we need to first acknowledge and address the irony in our welcome. I was warned about many realities with the community, yet our black family chose to stay. The human in me wants to regret that decision, but the God in me desire to repurpose the outcome that was trauma. The longer we stayed, I realized the irony in the warm welcome we initially experienced. It's an intricate mindset of nice, unless, and until. The welcome is sincere, yes, but the journey thereafter shifts the welcome by an until and an unless welcome of speaking up. As I began to learn the tricky parts about the community, I felt it was important for me to not attend the monthly meetings. Why? Because I had to protect my heart. I had to make sure I remained in grace and forgiveness as God says so. To attend the meetings would have been monthly reminders of realities made clear, realities I've stressed for 12 years now. And to know those realities are not considered as possibly true by everyone in this room is concerning and frightening, enough for anyone to leave. Imagine sitting in the same room. Howard Sr. began her K-12 journey known for her bright smile. Imagine what it's like to look into your child's eye to tears and they say, "It's okay, Mom, you didn't know." Why must my child feel the need to forgive me for choosing to have hope? Or the irony, oh, the irony in hoping. I hoped so we stayed, but I hoped so my children have cried. The part I did not know was the seemingly irreversible trauma that follows being different and accepting the invitation to speak and share concerns, but now I know, and now I speak publicly. Our daughter told us the nation can attempt to get rid of DEI, but that cannot get rid of willingness. Truth is, not everyone will understand the need of DEI. Without empathy, DEI is only an idea on paper, leaving all opposers a reasonable case to declare DEI as unnecessary. I am not here to convince a community DEI is necessary. Considering the community has already convinced me and several others, there's a blind eye to nepotism, hypocrisy, accountability, and a conditional welcome despite policies. I believe in the hearts of humanity, therefore I am here to convince everyone who have given up on speaking as a result to fear and exhaustion. Please be brave. Please take the loss of families like mine. Please take the loss for the families like mine, because I'm here to take the loss for families like yours. Coming here and presenting was not easy, especially as a Black person, but a hardship and a risk I am willing to take so that hurt families can hopefully heal, but also so that I can begin to heal and forgive myself for not leaving sooner. Even with the heartbreak, I plan to repurpose the trauma our senior will carry onward into adulthood. If we stay or not stay, I will repurpose it.
Thank you for your comments. Does anyone else wish to speak this evening?
Good evening, Jeff Kessner, Haslett resident. An article in the Harvard Business Review titled "The Failure of the DEI Industrial Complex" states, quote, "There's a poorly kept secret in the DEI industry. The actual efficacy of a large proportion of the talking points, unconscious bias training, racial sensitivity workshops, the business case for diversity is much lower than it's made out to be. A data analysis found that few achieved their goals. In fact, on March 27th, U of M closed their DEI offices, and one of the reasons cited was, according to their own internal research and that of the New York Times, their policies were failures. So I'm going to, what I've passed out is the curriculum and instruction part of the Haslett Equity Plan right off the Haslett website. I'm going to read the 3 goals, followed by an action and indicators of success for each goal. Let's see how many times academic achievement and higher test scores are mentioned, which should be part of the core belief system. So in the interest of time, I'll read part of it. The last sentence in the first paragraph. This plan seeks to promote an approach to teaching that is thoughtful, rigorous, and informed by the principles of equity, inclusiveness, joy, recentering, humility, and data-driven decisions, because we know it will help prepare Haslett students for an increasingly diverse world. Goal 1, students experience an inclusive curriculum in which diversity and equity are prioritized. Action, establish continuing curriculum equity audits across all grades and subjects in every building that examine formal lesson plans and incitements, and informal, like field trips, athletics, assemblies, service learning, holidays. Indicators of success. Students report feeling challenged by the curriculum, Students' knowledge about multiple diverse communities increases. Students from marginalized communities report feeling represented in the curriculum. Goal 2, establishment of equitable academic and social environments that support student learning, growth, and development. Actions, review grading policies, procedures, and practices. Implement restorative justice practices at all levels. Indicators of success. No predictability of academic and social incomes exists based on personal characteristics and social circumstances. Have staff and students, subcommittees in each building trained to be trainers of restorative justice practices. Goal 3, students are prepared for an increasingly diverse world. Action, recognize a diverse range of holidays, religious observances. Another action, review of elective courses at middle and high school to determine if course offerings are aligned with equity plan priorities. Indicators of success, students report increased empathy and awareness of cultures other than their own. Students report increased appreciation and awareness of cultures other than their own. Students report increased appreciation for opportunities to learn about communities other than their own. And students from marginalized communities report feeling represented in the curriculum. So I ask you, how much of that focused on academic achievement? I see very little, most of it as equity. Now, on the last page, I know you've seen this before, I put the M-STEP scores. 90% of the latest M-STEP scores are below pre-pandemic levels. No serious person can say this is heading in the right direction. And I hear people say, but you know, we're one of the best performers in the district. We know these numbers are horrible. You're just the tallest midget in the room. I mean, I hate to say it, but these are pathetic. So in conclusion, the focus on academics has been replaced with woke theory and ideology. I urge you to change course and provide Haslett students an education focused on academic achievement. So I have a request via email. Please send me the data that illustrates that the curriculum and instruction part of the equity plan, according to you, is successful, with a special focus on academic achievement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak this evening?
Hi there, Terry Goldberg. I didn't really have a prepared statement today because I wasn't going to speak until Mrs. Collins spoke about the community. I've been here for close to 30 years. I've got two boys that both started at Wilkshire and graduated at Haslett Public Schools. So I don't push back on DEI because I don't value diversity. I do because my kids have all had friends of all ethnicities. I don't push back because of inclusivity. I have a special needs son who the schools did wonderful things for him. I had to fight a little harder for his education through his IEP, but we got through that and he actually graduated with a diploma. But I push back on the equity because equity is nothing more than seeing a person of color. I know when I campaigned for school board, numerous black families, black or brown, they live in the area, don't go to school here because they know what's going on up here in terms of a version of affirmative action. You want to prop up people because you think they're not smart enough or they can't do it on their own. And I think that's crazy. That's exactly what it is you're trying to push kids and elevate kids who you think can't do that on their own. And numerous kids that black students, brown students, who my oldest son graduated with, are doing wonderful, very smart kids. So there's not one kid in this school, black, brown, Asian, white, whatever, that can't be extremely more successful than all of you guys sitting here. All you have to do is educate them. You don't have to look at them and see the color of their skin. That doesn't matter. But that's what you're choosing to do. You're trying to prop them up to make them feel better, which they don't need that. They just need to be educated. So I push back on Mrs. Collins because Haslett is, and always has been, a diverse and included community here. So that's how I look at it. If you see a different way, I'm sorry, but that's not how I look at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else wish to speak this evening?
Hello, Terry Geiersbach, former special ed and general ed teacher and Haslett resident. I do need clarification with our Haslett 2030 project. I'm assuming all new projects begin as the result of certain problems or issues that have occurred in the past. They need new solutions to a new project, so a new project is put into place. Have these problems been addressed, and are they written down somewhere? If so, can I find them on our website? You do know the old famous quote, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. But really, what are these past problems that have led to this new project? I don't see them listed anywhere. I'm wondering where and how Project 2030 originated. I really would like to know. Did it come from another school district or university or another program in the state? Who put the big triangle together? Also, I agree with one of your board members that I can't remember who mentioned, but said something about changes in policies or other changes basically should not be too extreme. I do like this concept. Mild changes are better in every way, I would think. I know in February and March there were school-level discussions that were hosted by the principals. How were the community members informed? And which community members ended up on this focus group? It does state that every voice will be heard. I know there were town halls and surveys and panels that took place. I remember one town hall with the superintendent, but I haven't heard of any others. Could I get a copy of the survey that was used? And when were the panels held? Sounds like they were hoping to get input from students, staff, families, and community members. Where is the community involvement listed in the task force analysis and synthesis, which occurred in March through April? It states that the input from each school will basically develop recommendations that reflect our community's shared goals. I would definitely like more information on the results of this task force. I agree, with a huge project such as 2030, every voice should be heard, and there are a variety of voices in our school district. For some reason, I'm getting the feeling that this project might roll along like the same path as the DEI plan did years ago. Decisions were made without the knowledge of all interested community members. And now I'm wondering if there are voices on this task force who represent Terry, Patty, Jeff, myself, and many others. Or do the members on this task force pretty much think the same way? So many questions, I know. Maybe Diane can email all the paperwork to me about what has occurred so far. That would be very helpful, especially the community member input information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else wish to speak this evening?
Good evening. Patty McPhee, Haslett resident. On the Imagine 2030, I haven't read a lot about it, but I'm really focused on hearing more on academic excellence. And I didn't ever know how much that facilitator, Michelle, what was her fee? I didn't know the cost that you guys are incurring for that. And to the last speaker, I'm telling you, nepotism and bullying is a big, huge problem in our district. It has been for decades. I think it doesn't matter, your children are facing that as black and brown children, but it happens to too many children in our district. It needs to end. And lastly, everyone was sent, every district in America was sent from the U.S. Department of Education April 3rd, a letter on DEI. Has that been shared with all of the board members? Have you gotten copies of that? I don't need an answer right now, but there is a copy. It got sent to our district, and it would be nice if you all had a copy and got to read. It's on DEI. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak this evening?
Hello, I'm Nicole Lehman. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Wilkshire. And I'm Ann Bloxham. I teach first grade at Wilkshire. And we just wanted to just share some good news happening in some of our buildings right now. So first I'll start with Wilkshire. We have some great courtyard updates. We call our courtyard our outdoor classroom. There have been a lot of new stations added to our outdoor classroom using the grant money from the foundation. And just a little plug, our outdoor classroom cleanup is April 26th from 1 to 3, and so anyone is invited to come and help out. Last week we had Neurodiversity Week at Wilkshire. Each day was a different theme. We had school-wide lessons that had fun little videos so that the students could learn more about each other and understand our differences. Our kindergarten classes all went to the zoo today, and it was a beautiful, like, perfect morning for the zoo. Half of our first grade classes went to Abrams Planetarium last week, and the rest of us are going this Friday. We're really excited about that. Moving on to Raleigh, the fourth graders at Raleigh went to Henry Ford Museum on April 10th. Everyone had a great time, enjoyed making real-life connections to what they were learning in class. And they're excited because this will help support their annual Wax Museum event that they have coming up on May 22nd. At Murphy, the second and third grade classes are collaborating on a multifaceted animal research project. If you've ever seen it, it's super cool. Each student has selected an animal to research, and then they actually create a 3D representation of that animal to display in the building, in the hallways. And each class participates in creating a region backdrop and environmental features for the different animals and where they live. At the middle school, March is Reading Month finished with lots of fun activities, including Bookish Bingo, Team March Madness competition, and a book swap event, and they read over 1,000 books in March. At the high school, a few teachers went to Peru during their spring break, helping plan activities and chaperoning. The students visited Machu Picchu, the Salt Flats, and Cusco, among other amazing places throughout the week. The high school band is practicing in the evenings for their trip to Toronto, which is coming up. And like someone mentioned, the choir competed in states this past week with select ensemble, earning all state honors. Some students also earned individual awards. Thank you so much for listening to our good news.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the good news. Does anyone else wish to speak this evening? All right, seeing no, we will move on, excuse me, to our consent agenda. And we have, it looks like, 8 items on this evening's consent agenda. First is the approval of minutes for the March 10th regular board meeting. The second is approval of the personnel recommendation of our district's athletic director that the superintendent discussed earlier. 3 is the approval of the proposed budget amendment for 24-25. 4 is the approval of minutes for the April 9 Policy Personnel Committee meeting. Number 5 is approval of minutes for the April 10 Finance and Facilities Committee meeting. Item number 6 is approval of the administrative and supervisory contract extensions, I believe was also mentioned earlier. And number 7 is approval of the 25-26 School of Choice resolution. And finally, item number 8 is approval of the out-of-state travel for Kindwind, say that 5 times. Our presentation we heard earlier this evening. Does any member wish to have any item or items pulled from the consent agenda this evening? Okay, seeing none, I will take a motion on tonight's consent agenda.
I move to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the 8 items under tonight's consent agenda. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Tonight's consent agenda is adopted. Moving on to announcements. The one announcement we have to make at this point is that the next regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting will be held April 28th, 7 p.m. right here in the Administration Building. Seeing that that's the only announcement we have, we'll move on to adjournment. Does any member have a motion with that respect?
I'll motion for adjournment.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and an emphatic second for adjournment this evening. All those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.